What is actually the VP class? Visual programming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the Visual Basic.
oh, the Visual Basic.
Yeah.
Oh, who is the teacher, the lecturer?
Miss Tang.
Oh, Miss Tang. Okay, okay. Easy kah Visual Basic?
Um, boleh lah.
Just need to get the basics and then you okay lah.
Yeah.
So what? Because I learned Visual Basic last time, but it is the old version punya lah. But I don't know how the new version now. But if previously we only drag and drop, and then there's some programming behind each of the button, or there's a action lah event behind each of the button. So how does it now? Is it still like that or how?
I think still the same lah.
Oh, the same juga lah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, but I guess maybe there's a lot of functionality or library lah added because it is because when I was learning the Basic, it was 2007 kah last time. And then when I doing my internship, also the company that I intern, they also use Visual Basic that time. But now after I finish my internship and then I have worked in my previous company juga. I mean in my internship company. So I have worked in that company for about 1 year, 1 year and 6 months as a permanent employee. But after that, I continue my master. But it was about 2010 lah, 2010 or 11 lah. Last I used the Visual Basic. It is okay lah. I mean, it is the easiest programming language. Actually, it is not a programming language, Visual Basic. Yeah, it is a programming language. But when you are using Visual Basic, you can also integrate with another programming language lah. But I don't know if you are until that extent already lah. Have you learned another language integrated with Visual Basic?
I don't know what the name.
Oh, but ada lah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then we need to learn assembly, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, so you also learn assembly language in Visual Basic?
No. I mean this subject need to learn
Yeah,
assembly.
yeah. So that's why I have you guys downloaded the Visual Studio 9 community?
I haven't. You see next week then start, right?
Yeah. So you guys try to install it. Install it this weekend lah.
The Visual Studio, is it the same as wait, because before I have the Visual Studio, but
What version?
I'm not sure what the version is. But
Oh, it is free kah? Community version kah?
I think so.
Mm.
Because before we do the web programming and then we use this Visual Studio. So
Oh, last semester.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So wait, I share my screen first. If you haven't installed, so you can download through the link that I gave you yesterday, and then after you download, you will download the installer. Okay, so after you download the installer, you guys can see my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so the links will bring you guys to this website, and then you choose the community version. Okay, so the professional and enterprise, this one is paid version. Okay, so only this free. So you download. After that, you will get the installer. So when you run the installer, you will get something like this to Visual Studio Installer, because I already downloaded and then install. So, but when you click it again, I mean, because I already installed, so it is already in my computer. But you later, when you click, it will directly go to here, go to here lah. So you need to install this. If you maybe Farah later, if you have the installer, you can see to what component you already installed. Okay, so for the assembly language letter, oh ya kah? Your visual.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I think yeah.
Okay, so but later if like that, you just click your Visual Studio installer, and then you modify like what I did just now, and then make sure you have ticked this one, meaning you have included this component into your Visual Studio. Yeah, desktop with development C. I will screenshot and give it in our
Oh, that's all.
yeah, just this lah. Wait, and so after that, let's see. So I have already Visual Studio 2019. If you want to see the version, you can, I don't know the version you guys are having lah, but maybe you can see directly lah, either it is Visual Studio 2019 or 16, but don't upgrade first, just add the component. I don't know if you add the component, you need to upgrade or not, but I'm afraid your previous project with another courses macam the visual programming tu kan, so I'm afraid it cannot be run lah kalau you upgraded it to 2019 if previous, because there is sometimes there will be slightly different too. Sometimes it always, when there's a new version, memang always there's a new feature, and then usually the feature should not I mean, it should not be a problem lah when there's a new feature. But ada juga, especially for this community version, because it is not really tested, because it is not paid punya kan, because it is free. So there's a new feature yang can make the incompatibility error lah. So you just use your installer, Visual Studio installer that you have installed previously. Don't need to download new, and then just modify it to include this component. Okay?
Which one? Oh, the desk. Sorry.
Yeah, this one, the desktop development with C++. We need this component to run the assembly language. Okay?
We already have the desktop thing with C++.
Yeah, if you already have it, so don't worry lah. To make sure.
We use 2017, no problem, right?
Oh yeah, as long as you have that component.
Okay.
Okay, so try to install it on weekend. Okay, so now we will proceed the yesterday punya lecture, which is we are until JPEG. Okay. Okay, so previously we are until on GIF, but now we will continue to the JPEG. Okay, so this JPEG is another type of file under image. Okay, so previously you have GIF, and then now, sorry, bitmap. It is under category bitmap. And then under bitmap, there's a GIF, there are JPEG, and then so this JPEG is different from the GIF because it support up until 16 million colors. And then this JPEG is suitable for highly detailed photograph and paintings. And it employs lossy compression algorithm, but this algorithm will make when you compress this JPEG kan, the algorithm will make it will discard the data to decrease the file size and transmission speed. So when you compress your JPEG file, it can decrease the file, but it will discard some data. Okay, so it may reduce the image resolution, and then the image that you the image that you compress tends to distort sharpness, meaning dia akan jadi blur so that like it's not as sharp as before you compress that file. Okay, so we proceed to the object image. Previously it was bitmap. Bitmap has GIF and JPEG, and then now object image, which is, if you remember, yesterday it is vector image. So what is a vector image? You can to refer back to our previous lecture lah. Vector image, it is represented by okay, you see the previous lecture lah. Okay, so this object image, it composes a line and shapes in various colors, and then the computer translates the geometric formula to create the graphic. Okay, so in, compared to the pixel, compared to the bitmap image that is stored its data using the pixel, but object image, it uses a formula. It stores only formula to create the graphics. So its storage space depends on depends on the image complexity. Okay, so the more complex the image, the number of instructions to create the line, shape, and the fill patterns will be larger lah. But that is why object image only require lesser space compared to the bitmap image, because bitmap, it will store the pixel the pixel information, and then it will require a lot of space of data. But for the object, it only stored the formula. Okay, so whenever the image whenever you open an object image, the computer will process all of the formula to come out or to display that object, that image. Okay, so that's why it requires lesser space compared to the bitmap object. Okay, so the movie Toy Story, it uses the object image. Have you watched Toy Story previously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of the version all of the season version.
Only 3. I didn't watch.
Oh, only 3 you didn't watch?
Yeah, 3 didn't watch.
Oh, yeah, I only watched one Toy Story lah, but it was maybe it is the earliest version of the Toy Story. But I watched or I searched the YouTube kan. Now I don't know if it is already released or not. The Toy Story 5.
I think
Sudah kah?
maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe it's sudah.
So this is the YouTube. This is the trailer for the Toy Story. The Toy Story is here. This one. This is the trailer. When I watch that Toy Story kan. It is different from what I have watched previously lah. Maybe because my Toy Story itu is this is 2019. So now of course I think maybe you have watched this lah. So this is the Toy Story 5. When I watch this kan memang cantik lah. You guys can hear the voice?
Yeah, can.
Quite laggy.
Yeah, quite laggy lah.
Tapi tidak foto kan?
Yeah, I think we cannot see clearly like this.
Weta, Kelvin.
Correct.
Yes, Kelvin?
Too light. We cannot see properly. All too light.
Oh, you cannot see properly?
Yeah.
The video keep cutting.
Oh, okay. I share the link. Okay, you guys watch lah. It is just a 1 minute punya trailer, so that's why I want you can watch that trailer lah. So this is story 5, Toy Story 5. So I like to see dia punya grafik ni lah. It is a very very cantik.
A tragic accident at sea. Has devastating consequences.
Look what I have created! I have
Search area of 500,000 square miles. I'm always going to keep this on Memphis time.
Okay.
Okay, finish.
Yeah, finish.
Okay, so what do you mean by low frame rate, Noel?
Oh yeah, like cutting.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we proceed. It is just FYI lah. The Toy Story uses object image. Okay, so we proceed to the object image. So this object image, it will be stored based on mathematical formula. So it is easy to move, easy to scale, and then also easy to rotate it without losing the shape and identity as bitmap image, like what will happen in the bitmap image lah. Unlike bitmap image that is hard to move, scale, or rotate lah. So it is opposite with the bitmap image. Okay, so like I said just now, it requires less storage space than the bitmap, and then it cannot represent photo or paintings, and also one of their punya disadvantage is it cannot be displayed or printed directly because most of the output devices, except the plotters punya printer, all of the output devices except the plotters only can print the bitmap image. So when you want to print object image, you need to convert it to bitmap first before you can print it. So that is the one of the disadvantages lah. Okay, so these are the what the comparison between the bitmap and then the object. Okay, so for the bitmap, it store the data as a pixel, as a picture element or pixel. And for the vector, it will store the geometrically defined shape. So, and this bitmap is produced by the pen software, but vector image is produced by modeling software. Okay, so the bitmap, you need a larger storage to store this bitmap or to view this bitmap. But for the object, it require lesser storage, but your computer need higher computational, because every time you open a object image, it need to translate all of the formula into that image. So that's why it require higher computational computer. Okay, so the output, when you enlarging the image, it will produce a jagged edges. For this bitmap, you will see the square pixel tu. Each of the pixel is in square kan. So when you zoom, you can see its pixel in square tu. But for the object, you will not see it lah, because the object will scale smoothly. Okay, so for the resolutions of the output, for the bitmap, it is limited by the resolution of the image, and then the object pula, it is limited by the output device capability. Okay, so we proceed to the video image. So this video image, it require massive amount of data, and then the video camera will producing full screen of 640 multiply with 480 pixel true color. Remember, true color is RGB. The combinations of RGB color, red, green, blue color, and then it is run at 30 frames per second. So frames is a sequence of image. It is a group of image in sequence. So we call it as a frame. I think Noel maybe know, because you said just now low frame rate kan. I think you know a little bit about video. Yeah, kan Noel?
A bit.
Are you interested in photography, or yeah? Are you interested?
As a
Hobby.
yeah.
Good. Okay, so to calculate the file size of the image, if previously we just if the image we only multiply with its width and height and then the bytes, but now for the video we add one more component, which is frame. So we need to know the frame of that video, so that we know we can calculate its size. Okay, so when you have this 6 for all width and 4 at 0 height and then 3 bytes and then 30 frames, you can your file size will be this number in bytes. And then if you divide this, remember, like yesterday I said, if you want to get its kilobyte, you need to divide it by 1024. And then if you want to get its megabyte, you need to divide it again with 1024. So you can get 27 megabyte per second. Okay, so 1 minute film clip can use approximately 1.6 gigabyte storage for these sizes. of image. Okay, so there are the options to reduce the file size, which is you can decrease the size of the image, meaning you can decrease this width and the height, and then you can also limit the number of the color. So this one is 3 color, and yeah, so you can decrease these 3 bytes, and then also you can reduce the frame rate. You can reduce all of this to reduce the storage punya space. Okay, so the methods how video can be delivered to users, there are 2, which is the streaming video, meaning the video displayed as it is downloaded from the web server, meaning you watch it while the video is downloaded into your computer, and then after that another methods is by the local data. Either you have its file using, maybe you transfer using any pen drive ka apakah, and or you buy DVD or you downloaded it into your system and then you watch it. So movie quality, this MPEG 2. I pronounce it as MPEG 2. So it is a movie quality image with high compression, requires substantial processing capability. So meaning it is it has high compressions, but that compression will need substantial processing capability of your computer. Okay, so we proceed to the audio representation. So how audio is represented in computer language or binary. So you watch this first to get an idea. Okay. So you watch that first, huh?
Let's now look at how sound is represented in binary, and we could have done this before, but let's first talk about the difference between analog and digital data. So analog signals, waves, data, whatever, are constantly changing and we don't have defined ranges. So basically, they're naturally occurring signals like sound, like just light, pressure and so on. And they're often represented by waves because they're continuous. And we can't deal with analog signals, we have to deal with digital data. So this is where data forms discrete values, so they always fall within defined ranges and at set values within these ranges. So we need to basically, because the computer can only deal with digital data, we need to convert from analog, which is usually what an input and an output is, so there needs to be some conversion in this process. So in terms of how we do this for sound, this is generally done by taking a sample of the amplitude or height of a sound wave at regular time intervals, and then we assign a binary value to each reading. So sampling is recording a signal at regular intervals, and this is the key bit, regular intervals. So we've got a sound wave here, just a sine wave for the basic example. Obviously most sound does not look like this, and we at set time intervals. So here we've got a set time interval of 0.5 seconds, which is very unrealistic because it'd be an awful quality recording. And then we record the amplitude value at each position, and this amplitude value is in decimal here, but we'd convert it to binary, of course. A key term then is the sampling frequency, which is the number of samples obtained per second, and it's measured in hertz. Hertz as a unit is just per second. It's used all over the place to do frequency, because frequency is per second. So here our sampling interval is 0.5 seconds, so we have 2 samples per second. The sampling frequency is 2 Hz. And the greater the sampling frequency, the higher this value is, the truer the digital signal is to the original, but the greater the file size. So there's always a disadvantage of increasing the quality of our digitized version. If we sample only 2 points, we get a very different wave to our original. 6 points is slightly better, and 10 points is better as well. So this is an increase in sampling frequency, although we don't know any times here, so we can't give an actual value. You might see the sentence kind of rewritten in terms of quality, and I personally try and avoid that because, at least to me, quality is more about our perception of the sound, whereas we can analyse our digitised sound wave versus the original analogue sound wave, but we can't really put a measure on the quality of the sound. Another definition you need to know is the sample size, and this is how many bits are available for each sample, and this is also known as the bit depth. And this is basically the same concept as the color depth for images. So how many bits can we allocate for each sample? In this example, we've got the analog wave in red and our digitized wave in blue. And ignoring kind of the sampling frequency, this is much more about the y-axis as opposed to the x-axis being time. So this has a sample size of 3, and this leaves us with only 8 discrete levels of volume. So amplitude is loudness in sound waves, the height is loudness. So we only have 2 to the power 3 discrete levels of loudness. So clearly, with a low range of volumes here, if we increase the sample size, we'd get a much more realistic range of volumes. Another term you need to know is the bit rate, which is the number of bits used per second, and this comes from the sampling frequency multiplied by the sample size. So the base unit of bit rate is bits per second, and the other 2 units are hertz and just bits. So this is kind of like how much data needs to be stored per second, and this allows us to work out file sizes. So a high bit rate leads to more detailed audio or better quality audio, but you also need more storage because you're using more bits per second. You need more bits available in your memory to store this audio. Perhaps to explain bitrate a bit better, if we talk about the file size in general, so just in bits in general, this is the same as a sampling frequency times the sample size times time. So basically the file size equals the bit rate, which is these two, times time. So the bit rate is just per second, is the data used per second, but obviously to create the full file size we need to work out how much data is being used per second, i.e. the bit rate, and then work out how long the actual file is, so how long the sound file is. So that's why we multiply them together. So bits per second is bits over second times second, so the s's cancel out, if that makes sense. And by the way, it's really important to realise in case you get an exam question which asks you about, say, the sampling rate or the sampling resolution. So sampling frequency, same thing as sampling rate. Frequency and rate are basically the same thing. Sampling size is the same as a sampling resolution, so kind of a detail that each sample holds, and resolution is all about detail, as we looked at to do with images. So make sure you are aware that they're synonyms basically for the terms we've looked at.
Okay.
Yeah, so finish watching. So you have the idea lah kan how the audio is transformed into a digital, so we can save that digital data. Okay, so we proceed. So the audio data, the original sound, which is our original audio, is in analog. Okay, so this analog will be transformed and digitized into digital representation of sound. So we call it as waveform. Okay, so the digital representations of sound, we call it as waveform audio. Okay, so this is how the analog looks like. And then this is how it's represented in digital. So the amplitude is actually the loudness. If you heard the video just now, it says that amplitude is the loudness. Okay, so we can get the highest, the maximum amplitude by the maximum maximum binary number, that is okay. So we proceed to this lah. Okay, so this 0 represent the middle, in the middle. So this is the 0, it should be in the middle of the amplitude. Okay, so the largest possible sample, meaning the positive peak of the loudest possible sound. We set it using the maximum possible binary number. Okay, so if you have binary number is until 255 binary number, so maybe this will be until 255 lah. But so your negative pun can be until negative 64 if we referring to this. So this is the bit depth. Okay, so the most negative peak is set to the largest negative number. So usually, like I said just now, if this is 64, so the negative number will be, the largest negative number will be negative 64. Okay, so the amplitude scale is divided uniformly between the two limits. So the amplitude scale will be the same. If the amplitude, if the positive until 64, and then the negative also until negative 64. Because the amplitude scale is divided uniformly between the two limits. The two limits is referring to the maximum and then minimum number of, maximum of the binary number and then the largest negative number for that binary. Okay, the sampling rate. The sampling rate is the number of times per second that sound is measured during the recording process. Okay, so meaning for 1 kilohertz means that there are 1,000 samples per second. Meaning the computer processed 1,000 samples per second. Okay, so for example, if you have the audio CD, it says the sampling rate is 44.1 kilohertz, meaning there's 44,000 samples per second. Okay, so the height of each sample will be saved as either it is 4-bit number of, usually radio will save it as 4-bit. And then for the high fidelity recording, it will be 16-bit. And then for the stereo, it will be until 16 bits. Okay, so this is actually, you can see if it says that this is 8-bit, meaning the graph here is until only 8-bit. If it is says that it is until 16-bit number for high fidelity recording, so it until 16-bit. Okay, so it will be until 16 here. Okay, so when it is for stereo, then it is 2 multiply 16 bits for the stereo. Okay, so when we convert analog to digital, so this is what happened. An electronic circuit that convert the analog value to the binary equivalent, meanings that there's an electronic circuit that will convert that analog value to the binary, and then the analog waveform is sampled electronically at regular time interval, and then the amplitude of the sample is measured by A to D converter. So that converter will measure the amplitude of that waveform. Okay, so this is the visualizations of the original sound. You can see here it is smooth. And then this is the visualize of digitized sound after the conversion. So if you see this two diagram, what did you see the difference between these two? What can you see?
The curve.
The curve.
The curve. Which curve? This one. The curve lah kan? Yeah. Okay, correct lah. Okay, so if you can see for the original, it is smooth kan? The curve smooth saja. But when you transform it into digitized, there's a peak. Dia direct, dia tidak smooth. Okay, so as is highlighted in this slide, so when you see there's wave here. I call it as a wave lah. There's a wave here, but this one, it cannot capture that wave. So there's a data loss here lah. When you have, when you're converted digital, when you convert from the original to the digitized, there's a possibility of data loss. So how to make sure the data loss limit? How to make sure that we didn't lost a lot of data, or how to make sure the digitized wave doesn't have very much difference with that original sound is by the samples. Okay, so this is the example of 3 samples per second, meaning you run 3 samples of a wave in 1 second. So when you run 3 samples, this is called as 1 sample. Okay, so when you run these 3 samples in 1 second, it is compared to the 13 samples per second, compared to the 25 samples per second. Okay, so what I want to say here, the more or the higher the samples per second, the better the audio that you can get. Okay, if your audio said it only can run 3 samples per second, there's possibility a lot of audio. There's a lot of data loss. But if you have an audio that can run 25 hertz per second, it is better lah, because it can capture each of the original data. Okay, so the what? In short, the more or the higher the hertz, the better the quality of your sound. Okay, so the format of the audio, how it is stored in the computer is using one-dimensional array integer. Okay, so how the computer stored this audio data is by using one-dimensional array of integer. So in addition to the waveform data, it also maintains the metadata about the waveform. Okay, so the metadata here, what kind of metadata that is stored together with the waveform data is the maximum possible amplitude and the sampling rate, and then the total number of the samples. So this metadata also stored together with the waveform data in one-dimensional array integers. So that's how the audio format is stored in computer. So there are various format of audio, which is one of it is WAV. So this is produced or developed by Microsoft as part of its multimedia specifications. And this format is a general purpose format for storing and reproducing the small snippets of sound, and it is uncompressed. Okay, so each number in the digital audio file represents exactly one sample in the waveform. So this file, this type, meaning it doesn't compress that audio. So meaning if you have audio in wave format, meanings that it didn't compress. So when it didn't compress, means that there are no possibility of data loss lah. Because when you compress an audio, the compression makes the file size smaller kan. So to make that file size smaller, it should reduce much of the informations. For example, it can reduce the frame. Yeah, if you remember just now the video, when you want to compress the video, you need to reduce a lot of informations kan, like the frame rate. Okay, so for this web format, it doesn't happen because it didn't compress. The informations of the audio didn't compress in the web format. Okay, so this web format supports at until 16-bit sound sample, and then it can be sampled start from 11 kilobyte per second until 44.1 kilobyte per second. So it is either in mono or stereo. Okay, so what is the mono and stereo? I want you guys to find out. Okay, so mono should be find out by Farah, and then stereo Noel. Okay, so I want you guys to tell me what is mono and stereo in our next lecture class. Okay, don't need to go until produce slide presentations lah. No need. Just tell, or if you have any video ka or just any diagram ka to show the difference between the mono or stereo, enough already. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, Noel kuna. So find out for me what is mono and stereo.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the audio format that is stored in the one-dimensional array. So this is the one-dimensional array. So there's metadata. Metadata also stored in this dimensional array. For example, the metadata, there's a chunk ID. Chunk is referring to part or small part of the binary data. Okay, so chunk ID, length of the chunk, and then the data, waveform data. So this waveform data consisting of another information about the wave, and then the format of the chunk, and then the actual sound data. So this is a wave lab because wave it stores the actual sound data kan, so that's why I think it's better lah for this web because it didn't compress. Okay, so so there are 3 types of compressed file format. Previously, web didn't compress kan, but web also can be stored in the compressed file format. So there are 3 types of compressed audio formats, which is MP3, WMA, and ASC. Okay, so the earlier formats use a logarithmic encoding to sequence more dynamic range out of the fewer bits for each sample. Okay, so a modern format use sophisticated psychoacoustic algorithms to represent the essential frequencies of the audio signal in far less space. Okay, so the earlier format of these 3 using logarithmic encoding algorithm, and then the modern formats of these types of audio using sophisticated psychoacoustic. Okay, so what is the sophisticated psychoacoustic? So this is for Kelvin to find out. Okay, Kelvin?
Acoustic.
Yeah. Sophisticated psychoacoustic. So honestly, I also don't know about this. I only know that it is the modern format. So it is for you to share later in our next lecture. Okay, each of you have your assignment sudahlah, small piece of assignment to find out what is that things. Okay, so see Noel and Farrell, mono and stereo. Kelvin is sophisticated psychoacoustic. So you guys find out what is this lah. Okay, so this is the MP3 audio format, how it is stored in data in computer. So it is also stored in the one-dimensional array format. So this is the information it should store in that one-dimensional array. So there should be a field ID and then MP3 header. The header, this is usually each of this format, some of it is already predefined. So usually for the audio MP3 format, there will be field ID, but this is optional. And then there's a MP3 header. It is predefined sudah. And then error check, and this is also optional. And then this MP3 data. The only difference is the MP3 data lah. Okay, so in one MP3 file, there will be a lot of frame lah. So each of the frame will having these informations. So this frame also having the same information like this, but only different MP3 data lah here. Okay, so one MP3 files will have more than one frame. Okay, so finish with the audio data format. So after that, we will proceed to, this is a very long chapter. The chapter 2 is a very long lecture. Okay, so we go back to exponential notation. Okay. Floating point representation, sorry. If you see previously, this is for your information. So these data representations, we already learned about the unsigned and signed integer, and then each of the method to represent the signed and unsigned integer. After that, we already learned this one we skipped previously. After that, we have already learned about the image data representations. So now we are going back to this floating point number, but we only cover until this lah, exponential notation and floating in this lecture. So about the normalizing and formatting and also the floating point calculation, we will cover on next lecture. Okay, so we proceed to the floating point representations. So in this topic, we will learn how the floating point number represented into a computer or binary language, a computer language which is binary. Okay, so before we learn further about the floating point representations, we need to learn about what is the exponential notation. Okay, so why why we need the exponential notations? Okay, because we want to store a very large number and then very small number. So we can represent this very large number and very small number into only few digits. Because if you can imagine lah, if we store a very large number like 0.0000000000000. Imagine if that computer can process up until 24 bit, meaning for each of the number you can have a lot of digit lah. So it is very impossible. It's very hard to compute, or it is very hard to perform any arithmetic operation on that kind of number. So that's why we need exponential notation. So exponential notations is consisting 4 specifications for one exponential notations of number. So what is the 4 requires? What is the 4 specification is the sign of the mantissa. We will know what is mantissa later. And then the magnitude or the mantissa, and then the sign of the exponent, which is this one, the sign of the exponent, either it is positive or negative. So this is your exponent. And then the magnitude of the exponent, which is this one. Okay, so so this is the floating point. Example of floating point number. This is only okay lah, we still can read lah kan for this kind of floating point number. But imagine if it has a lot of zero, very long punya zero lah. So that's why we need the exponential punya format. So that's why we need to convert this kind of floating point number into exponential. So we can store that number into just few digits. Okay, so this is the format of the exponential, but this is the format before we convert it into computer understandable punya format lah. This is what human understand lah. Okay, so the exponent number of this floating point is represented by this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there are 6 components of exponential number. First is sign of the mantissa. The mantissa is this one, the number after the dot, the number of the after the decimal point. So this is what we call as mantissa. Okay, so this is the sign of the mantissa. Either it is positive or negative. And then this is the location of the decimal point. And then this is the base. This is the number of the exponent. And then this is the sign of the exponent. So you have to remember this lah. Okay, so how we will represent this kind of number into the computer understandable format is by this format. Okay, so that's why it says that previously it has 4 so this is the format of how that exponent number represented in computer punya format. So computer understand this format. Okay, so this is the sign of the mantissa. The sign of the mantissa, this one. So this is the exponent number, 2 digit of the exponent. So the 2 digit of the exponent, this is up until 2 digit. Sorry, this is up until 2 digit. The exponent can be up until 2 digit. And then, so this is the mantissa, the 5 digit of the mantissa. Okay, so if you find a number like this, the computer will transform it into this format first before it can store that information. Okay, so the base of the exponent and then the locations of the binary point are standardized as part of the format. So it doesn't need to be stored at all because computer already specified it is how it is stored in the system. So we only need to know, the computer only need to know about this sign of the mantissa and then the exponent punya number and then the mantissa punya number. Okay, so floating point number will be stored and manipulated in the computer using a standard and predefined format. Usually it will be in 8 bit. So this is what it means lah. So this is the standard or predefined format and it is in 8 bit. Okay, so the format, how to come out from this number, this format to this format is by using another rule, which is excess n notation. Okay, so this excess representation, this is actually so this is explaining about your exponent punya number tu. Okay, so your exponent punya number, if it is says that it has it is using excess 50 representations, meaning to say that your exponent number only can up until 49 because it is started from 0 kan. So the positive number to your exponent, when it is specified that your format is following the excess 50 representations, meaning to say that your exponent can only have maximum number 10 to the power of 49 because it is started from 0, and then the minimum number is 10 to the power of negative 50. Okay, so it is called as excess 50 representations. There's another excess lah. You can call it as excess any number lah. So meaning if it is, for example, if it is excess 60, so meaning the maximum number of your exponent can reach until 1059, and then your minimum number of exponent can be until 1060, negative 60 for this one. Okay, so you may not understand it now. Okay, we will make it clear in the next example. Okay, so for this one so this is the conversion example using this format and then using rule of excess 50. So we will represent the sign of the mantissa as 0 for positive and then 5 for negative. So don't confuse with the previous punya sign because previous it only use 1 and 0 kan, but for now it use 5 for the negative and then 0 for the positive. So the best we use will be the best 10, and then the implied decimal point is at the beginning of the mantissa. So we will get back later to this because This is the example of how this is already converted to this format. So this is already in this format. So how we will come out from you looking at this, using this rule, you can deduce the exponent format of this number, and then lastly you can get its decimal number. Okay, so we will get back to this later, how it can from this become like this and then become like this. Okay, so when you want to convert a decimal number into a format of this format and using rule excess 50, so this is the step you need to do. Okay, so first you need to do the normalizations first. The normalization is the process of making your decimal number into this format. Okay, so the process of making your decimal number into the exponent number or this format is we called as normalization. Okay, so first we need to do the normalizations first. After that, we provide the number of exponent. We will start with 0 if not yet specified. Okay, so after that we increase or decrease the exponent to shift decimal point to proper position. So we will know later about this in our next example. So this is just the theory and the step lah. After that, we need to decrease the exponent to eliminate the leading 0 on the mantissa. After that, we correct the precision by adding 0 or discarding or rounding least significant digit. So we will learn about this in our next example. Okay, so this is the example 1. Example 1, decimal to floating format conversion. Example of converting decimal to floating point format conversion. So this is the floating point format. Okay, so let's say you want to convert this decimal number. So first you need to do is normalize it. Normalize it meaning convert it to this format. So when you have this number, just convert it to this format. You just assume that the power of the base will be 0 because it is not specified. So usually this is when there's no exponent punya number. So first we make it as the exponent and then we just take the default value of the exponent, which is 0. Okay, so from this, make it like this because it is in the exponent punya format. Okay, so we normalize. Whenever I said it is normalized, we normalize it, meaning we make the decimal number into this format. After that, we adjust this number to get to this format, meaning it has to be 0 first, 0 and point. Okay, so this is the format, the real format of the exponent number. Remember this one? So this is the floating point representation. Floating point representation, it must have start with 0 point. Hello? Sleep already, ka?
Hello.
Okay. Okay. Because it's so quiet, kan? So I need to check either you are still alive or not lah there. Okay, so first step is how to convert the decimal to the floating point conversion is first we make it in this form first. So just multiply it with 0, with 10 to the power of 0, because this is the default value of the exponent. And then after that, we need to make it in the floating point format. So this is the floating point format. So to make this, how to make from this to this is you need to adjust dia punya ini. So to convert from this to this, you need to move this decimal point to 3 times kan? To this 1, 2, 3. So you move that decimal point to at the end first, and then you add 0 lah here, 0 point. So it will determine your exponent. The number of the decimal point from here to here, it will determine the exponent number. So we have moved this decimal point 3 times kan previously to this. So it means that the exponent will be 3 lah. Okay, so yeah, so that is how you can get this format from this format. Okay, so far so good.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so after that, it says here, sorry, this is not it. Okay, so after that, we need to cut the mantissa, so it only 5 digit. So we remove this one because this format only receive the mantissa in 5 digit kan, so we need to remove the excess digit. Okay, so step 3 is you need to cut the mantissa into 5. So this is how it looks like after you cut it lah. Okay, so you can get this number. After that, baru we can convert this to this format. So following this format, it says that S is the sign of the mantissa. So this is the sign. This is the sign of the mantissa. So this one is positive kan? You didn't see any negative here kan? So it is the sign of the mantissa is represented by 0 if it is positive, 5 if it is negative. So because this is positive, so it was so it is 0 lah here because it is positive. Okay, so this is the M is the number of the mantissa. So this is the number of the mantissa. So just write it back here. But so this is easy kan? But how to get this 53? Because it is says that this is the place of the number of the exponent. So if we can see here, this is only 3 kan? So if by right, we can think that we can just put 3 here, or maybe 0 lah kan? 0, 3 lah, because the exponent here is 3. But how we can get this 553 of the exponent is by, if you remember just now, we are using the excess 50 punya format. This one, excess 50 punya format. So that is how this excess 50 contribute to this equation. Format, because it is to get this is because it is excess 50 kan. So if it is we assume that the exponent is 50, but if we get this, so it is positive, so we plus 3. Because it is excess 50, so we need to plus 3. Because this is the exponent that we get. And then we assume there's a 50 there, and then we plus 3. So that's why we get this. Okay, so yeah, I think it is hard to understand why the excess 5, about this excess 5, because to come out with this formula, it is a long way. We need to dig into deep. But for this step, it is enough for you guys to know if we get this exponent, and then if we get the exponent is in positive, we just add 50 plus that exponent number. So that's why we get 53. So if let's say we have something like this number, and then multiply with 10 negative 3, so you need to minus 50 minus 3. So you can get 47 here. Okay?
Awesome.
Okay. So how to get this exponent is just 50 plus 3 if it is positive, and then 50 minus 3 if it is negative. So we will have another example after this. So for this one. Okay, so for this example, it is already in the format of exponential. So we just need to convert this into the floating format representation, which is this one. Because it is already in the exponential. Previously, it is only decimal punya number kan, so we need to multiply it with 10 to the power of 0. But the example here is, it is already, the question is already in the exponential form. So the next step is to convert this to the float representation, which is we need to have 0 point at the front of this number. So to get that, to convert this into this format, so you need to for this number kan, we don't have decimal kan, so just assume the decimal point is di sini at the rightmost of the number. So just assume that the floating point, the decimal number, the decimal point is at here, at the leftmost. Okay, so we move that 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 movement of that decimal point. So that makes it looks like this. So we move the decimal point 4 times to get this format. So that's why we need to add 4 here, because it needs to move 4 times. Okay, so after that, we can get the number of it. So for this negative 3 plus 4 equal to 1. Kan? Okay, so we can get its floating number representations. So this one, we cut it to 5 digits, but since this is less than 5 digits, then no need to cut anything lah. Okay, so after that, we convert this to the format of this. So why this is 5? Because the first digit here representing the sign of the mantissa. So this mantissa is negative, so it is 5. So the mantissa here, we just directly write it here. But since this is 4, so we need to add one digit, which is we can represent as a zero saja, tambah zero saja, to make it 5 digit. And then after that, the exponent, like I said just now, just assume there's a 50 there, and then 50 plus 1 meaning 51. Okay, so that's how we get this. Okay, for this example. Okay,
Okay.
Kelvin. Okay, Noel. Okay, Kelvin.
The sign and the E can only, the only number is 0 or 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so this sign only represented by 0 or 5. Okay, so Farah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so okay, so we will continue this in our next lecture. Okay, so we only sampai di sini, normalizing or formatting the exponential number to this format. So remember, for this is still not in binary format lagi ya, because we are now only talking about the normal base 10 punya number. So this is how the normal base 10 punya number in the exponential punya form stored in computer, but of course there will be later. I mean, this is the how it is stored, but later we will convert this into binary lagi. So yang itu binary punya version yang akan kena store di computer. Okay, so this is not in the form of it can be stored in the computer lagi lah. Okay, so this is only halfway. So we will learn about that later in our next lecture. So we will learn about first, before we convert it to the binary, we need to learn about how to do the arithmetic operation to this floating point punya number lah. Okay, so we will, in the next lecture, we will learn how to add and subtract. After that, we will learn how to do the multiplication of that number. After that, we will learn how to divide. And then, lastly, we will learn how to convert that floating point into the computer punya language. Okay, so it will be covered on next week. Okay, so for what I asked you yesterday, have you done it? The question, the tutorial number questions. Wait,
14 to 16 kah?
Iya. Yang itu sudah kah?
I
Oh, yeah.
skip one question.
Oh, okay. So, Kelvin, okay. Yang itu sudah siap. Noel, yes. Siap. Farah, skip one question. Kelvin?
I think no.
No. Okay, you didn't do that lah kan? Okay, so it's okay. What I have promised you guys yesterday, I will tell also next week, because I haven't finished answering questions 4 and 5. I don't have time last night. So, but for the question 14 until 16, I think we can discuss it now lah. Okay, so with questions. Okay, question 14 is compare bitmap image with object image. So I want Noel lah. Biarlah Farah. Because Farah, I think this one you can answer lah kan? Because you said you skip one questions.
Yeah, I skip the calculating.
Oh, okay.
The
So you can
15.
answer the 15 lah. Okay, so you answer the 14 lah. Si Noel will answer the 15.
Okay.
Okay, so you can share your screen lah if you want to share something.
Okay, I share sebentar. Windows. Can see kah?
Wait, still loading. Okay, now can see sudah. Okay.
Okay. I'm not sure how to answer. Compare bitmap image with object image. So here's my answer. Object image is composed of line and shapes in various of colors, whereas bitmap is used for realistic images with continuous variations in shading, color, shape, and texture. Is it correct kah? Like this?
Correct juga lah, tapi tidak full.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah. So actually the answer we have it in our slide sudah already. If you guys can see, the answer is in page 75. There's already a table that compared the bitmap and object images.
okay.
Okay, so refer to that lah.
Okay.
Okay, so for questions number 15. Okay. Okay, so this one Noel already answer lah kan, Noel?
So I
Yeah,
present
you share.
my work.
Yeah.
Like this.
Okay, beta. What is your answer for A? Your A is okay, so 400 terhadap 300 terhadap okay, for 16 bit. Beta. To get 16. To get 16 is 4. I think there's ada sedikit adalah the wrong there, but it is a good try because you are following the video kan, Noel?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but there's some yang salah sedikit because you don't need to multiply it with 2 to the power of 4 because you only need the exponent, the 4 punya value. Tidak perlu 2.
Oh.
Yeah, because if you square root 16, you will get 4 itu. If you square root the 16, you will get 4. So, 400 multiply with 300 multiply with 4.
Oh.
Yeah. So, don't need that apa. Okay, beta. So, if like that, you can get what? Coba calculate.
60,000.
16,000. 400 multiply 300 multiply with 4. You can get and then yes, correct. Yeah, correct. So this one correct. So the same lah with the 2 ah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Farrell and Kelvin boleh faham kah yang this one? I think the yang susah sikit adalah how to determine the bit itu kan. So just remember how to, when it says that it is 16 color bit map, I will show my screen lah. Like I said previously, I think I have said that each of the questions memang dia akan specify how many colors in that question. So like these questions kan, it says that whenever it asks about the size, it will provide the number of the color. So by using this number of the color, total color, you can get its bit. So how to get its bit is by square root this number of color. Okay, so the square root of 16 equal to 4. You guys can see my screen? Okay, so you can get its bit. Okay, so after that you can just multiply all of this, and then you can after that you divide by add, because we want it in bytes kan. So 1 bytes equal to 8 bit. So that's why we divide it with add. So you can get 60,000 bytes. Okay, so if you want to, if it asks, if the questions ask in kilobyte, so you need to divide this bytes to 1024 lah. Okay, so if the question asks in megabyte, so you divide this again with 1024. Okay, Farrell?
Okay.
Kelvin? Okay. Can get the idea lah kan?
The megabyte. This one's is kilobyte, or this one's
Yeah.
already megabyte answer.
Actually,
you want to divide, or need to divide again.
Yeah. So the question, it asks only in bytes. So if you answer letter only in this bytes, then okay, because you can have full marks sudah. But this one, ini just optional saja. It shows how to get the value in kilobyte. But later,
If 1
if
megabyte,
if 1 megabyte, then you need to divide this, the result of the kilobyte, to another 1024. Macam ni. Okay, so for megabyte, you have to convert, so what we will get? Coba calculate what we can get. 50 at 59 divide by 1004. What you guys can get?
0.0572.
Yeah. So that is the answer. 0.0057. 0.57. Okay. Megabyte. Okay, so just apa tu, pay attention to the questions lah. If it asks in bytes, then you have to, you can get the marks only by providing these bytes lah. But later maybe it will ask in kilobyte or megabyte, so you all know lah how to get the value. So the same with this one. Okay, so for the questions number 3, yang ini, this n, it is already given in the bits. So it didn't give you how many color kan here. So it is already in the 24-bit. It already give you the bit. So that's why you only need to terus directly multiply pun boleh sudah. But I saw Noel, you just now you have different apa kan? How did you determine the bits here?
2 to the power.
Oh. Can I see your step one again? You can apa? Because I forgot sudah, but I saw you have different way lah just now. Yeah, so how did you get the 22 to 24 to just now?
I think, based on the lecture note lah.
Oh, okay. So because this 24-bit it actually has yang macam, it says that in the lecture note kan, it has about 16 million punya color. So when we get, so we didn't get exact number of the color. So that's why, because it is too much, so that's why it gives it in the bits already. Okay, so that's why usually this is the size of the bitmap. So memang it has bukan only lah. This is some of the size of the bitmap. The larger the bitmap letter, the larger you can get the bit lah. But this is the 16 color. This is 256 color. But after the 256 color, it is already too much sudah the color. So it will not say that here, for example, 16 million color they bilang. So it already give you the bit of that color. So if it says here 24-bit sudah. So don't need to find its bit already, because it is already in bit.
Oh.
You only find its bit when it specify here is the color, number of the color. Okay?
Understand.
Okay. So the questions number 16, I think it is biarlah because already kena show sudah kan the answer here. So describe 2 advantages to the use of object image. So just refresh, just refer back to our slide. So that's the advantage of this slide. So is of the object image. So object image, can be scaled smoothly because compared to the pixel, when you zoom it in, you can see the edges of each of the pixel then because it is in the grid. But for the object image, it is different, so it will be scaled smoothly. And then the output resolution is limited by device capability. So who remember why this is happened? The output resolution is limited by device capability. What is the device? What does this mean? Who remember, or who can tell me? No one. Okay, Kelvin, can you try? Can you remember why it is limited by device capability?
I don't remember.
Okay, so um, the object image, if you remember in our slide, it is cannot be printed by any print output device except for plotter. If you remember that fact ada tuh fact here mana sudah tuh. So the object image ni it cannot be printed by any output device because most of the output device can only print bitmap image except for plotter lah. Plotter saja yang boleh print object image. So to print the object image, you need to convert it to bitmap first. Mana suatu audio?
Miss presenting.
Iya kan, astaga. Okay, so you can see the answer in the 74 punya apalah slide. Okay, so output resolution is limited by device capability. So dia punya output resolutions or it also cannot be printed. Dia punya output resolutions also can be limited by device capability. If you guys see in our this one, it says that this one the resolution of the output is limited by the output device capability because to process or display object image, it needs higher computational, so it needs your computer to be better in the specification. Yeah, I mean your computer need to be high lah. Dia punya RAM, dia punya grafik, dia punya whatever yang hardware punya apa. It needs to be powerful. Your computer need to be powerful to display or process object image because it needs higher computational to convert all of the formula it's stored to an image. Okay, so that's why it says it is limited by the output device capability. So if you want to just display the image through your computer, so your computer also need to be your computer need to be powerful because usually this object image kan it is usually used by macam architect because for them to draw dia punya architect punya plan lah apalah kan, so they will process they will be producing the object image, so that's why yang architect punya software or dorang punya computer should be in powerful punya computer because they need to process all of that formula. So that's why this is what it means by limited by the output device capability. Okay, boleh faham? Okay. So I'm hungry sudah. Okay, so if you guys don't have any questions, we can end our sessions here lah. Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, so if later I want you guys to prepare anything for our practical class, so I will tell you guys in our Google class. In our WhatsApp group lah, huh?
Okay, Miss.
Okay, bye.
Okay, Miss. Thank you.
Okay.